It's that time. It's Robin time.
Yes.
We started with some, I guess it's hold, but it's part of a retrieve. So it's kind of retrieve, kind of just hold.
Yes.
So holding an object firmly in his mouth, which he really understood today without like swishing it around or chewing on it, or you'll see later he starts giving up and just throws it at the very end of the video the second time that we worked on it.
Yes. Good. Good job.
So every time that he clamps his teeth down on it and doesn't re-bite, I will reward him double.
Yes.
Then we worked on some pivot. So I usually start by trying to move the treat kind of behind their head
No, I would do it.
to see if they'll move their butt so that they can reach the treat. He struggled with that tactic a little bit.
Yes. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
So you just say yes and reward whenever there's some slight movement with those back feet. And the front feet stay on the target.
Yes. Yes. Almost. Feet. Yes. Good. Yes.
And then I tried another tactic where I just used my spatial pressure, and that worked so much better because he wasn't trying to focus on the treat and his back legs and his front legs, everything at once. It was just a little much. So I used my legs to kind of give some spatial pressure towards his back end, and then I held a treat in my hand so that his head followed my treat right in front of him, so that he pivoted right in front of me.
Yes.
And then yes and reward when he moves those back feet.
Would you like to cooperate?
And then he was feeling lazy, so we worked on rollover, because essentially it's just fancy laying down.
Yeah. Good. Can we straighten out?
And you'll see that fluid motion I was talking about. I don't want to ask for a down verbally or really use the hand cue down. I'll just lure him down
It's almost ground.
because I don't want to ruin his down position. And then you move the treat behind his head, so he has to roll over to get it. And then kind of convince him to keep going. So I'm doing 3 treats in this sequence, one to get him to roll onto his side, one to get him to roll to his other side, and then one to get him up. You'll see that fluid movement right here.
Good. Yeah.
And the more fluid we can keep this, and the more cohesive we can be with those treats. You'll see I only did 2 treats there, so one for rolling over and one for getting back up. And then one to reset, technically.
Good. Good. Yes.
He really likes being on his back, so sometimes it takes a little bit of effort to convince him to get back up to do it again.
Good.
And eventually we'll fade this heavy food lure, but right now I just want to get the motion really good so that he understands and learns muscle memory of how to do this. I don't want to focus on trying to make it look fancy yet. I just want him to get comfy with rolling over and completing it. And then once we get to a single reward for rolling over, maybe like a bigger reward, then we can start trying to make it snazzy and not have food in our hand and turn it into a hand cue instead of a lure. But I just want to get him really comfy with this because it's a little awkward. Then we worked on chin rest, which actually at first he offered very quickly. I just offered my hand below his chin. I kind of touch his jowls just a little bit so he knows my hand is there. And as he plops his head down, I say yes and I reward. So he did it 2 times, like super perfect. Like I'd assumed that he knew the command. But then I had to wait him out for quite some time for him to do it again. And what I'm marking and rewarding is that downwards pressure. So even if he just kind of slightly sits his head in my hand, I could mark and reward for that, but what I'm looking for is the actual action of like putting his head in my hand. So a little bit of pressure. So you'll see he kind of slowly, and then once I feel like his bottom jaw in my hand, not just his jowls, then I'll say yes and reward.
Yes.
And some of these are more like a head down command, like when he starts resting it like there. But that's fine because we don't have a cue for this yet. It's not actually a trick. I'm just marking and rewarding the behavior. So if he wants to offer that, that's cool because we also want a head down.
Yeah, that's close.
So you'll see I kind of start luring him into a chin rest. I put the treat just far enough away from his nose and then guide his head into my hand, looking for that downwards pressure from his jaw. If he decides to hold the position, I will continuously reward. Then down at a distance. It's not much of a distance, but at least he's not right on top of us anymore. So I'm asking for the down while he's coming towards me. I would like it as quickly as possible. I'm going to make sure to get to him quickly to reward him for that down. I keep taking a couple steps back just to kind of add some more space to let him know it's the same thing, even if there's a little bit more space between us. So he wasn't super getting it. We were getting some distance, which is fine. So I wanted to try it on the place bed, but he just lays down on the place bed anyway, which is great. So never mind the place bed. And then I did it with a long line and him attached to the poles. And he did it once and then said that that was stupid. So we'll just go back to doing it the first way. But those are some other ways that you can kind of try to work it on down at a distance. Then we went back to hold. He was very successful today until he resource guarded it from me and then started throwing it all over the place.
Good. Yes, good. Yes, good.
What a good boy.
Yes, good.
And I will wait him out at this point for him to actually clench his jaw down on it.
Yes, good.
Versus sometimes he tosses it around or holds it up really high and chews on it. This is where he gives up and starts throwing it. And I'll retry a couple times, but after a couple times of him just doing that, I ended the session there because he was letting me know that he was done. And that is okay. And there you saw him resource guard it. He didn't growl or nothing. He just darted towards it real quick when I reached for it, which was kind of out of character. Not really for him, but for that session. He's never done that for the dumbbell before. And he was just throwing it around, so I assumed he didn't want it. But here he says that he is done.